The February 25th presidential election is viewed as Africa's largest conduct of election. Nigeria's polls is considered as not only significant for the citizens, but the entire continent. That's why several international bodies have arrived in the country to observe how well the government and the electoral body, the Independent National Electoral Commission, have complied with the new electoral law in
so
place.
My people, I don't bring updates, can't give one again. This one are regarding the election when it could happen in a few days from now. So the European Union, they don't send their representative, they don't land for Nigeria, they put one or two together on the mechanism on how they go fit monitor the election to make sure say anyhow yamayama not go happen for the election. So the European Union, they really get the heart of this election at heart, because the reason be say, they know say if Nigeria get them right this time, things go change. If Nigeria get them wrong, things go pafuka. So I'm not going to mention name, but some of the people when we say that they contest, when we say man, that they fight for integrity to ensure say their vote go count and the vote of the citizens go count. And them help try to influence the EU, they can't bring people, not be one, not be two, not be 50, not be 60, not be 100, more than enough. But waiting that they talk for the news when they interview them, they just count some numbers. But and they tell you say that they every state for Nigeria, that they put one or two together, they put satellite connections together, they put gadgets in place to make sure say they monitor the election back to back to make sure say whatever Nigeria do, go either make us or man us. Now the issue now be say, man, make all of us go out, no go vote, because the international community that they watch. They also send representatives from Commonwealth. When we say they come, they won't just come observe the matter to make sure say Nigeria implement the Electoral Act as a right time for people black and white. Make una watch and una see it happen.
The European Union Election Observation Mission says it is deploying about 100 foreign and local observers to select polling units across the country.
We will, of course, be examining the implementation of the Electoral Act and all of the changes that have taken place and all the challenges that are peculiar to Nigeria. Each electoral environment has its own characteristics, and we are cognizant of all of those characteristics that apply across Nigeria.
Another group already in town is the Commonwealth Observer Group, led by former South African President Thabo Mbeki. The Commonwealth Observer Group is to deploy 16 observers to 7 states and the FCT.
Among other aspects, we'll consider whether the conditions exist for credible elections and whether the voting process is transparent and inclusive. The Commonwealth Observer Group has no executive role. Our function is not to supervise, but to observe the process as a whole and to form a judgment accordingly. We are here in our individual capacities as eminent and experienced Commonwealth citizens, and as such our assessment will be our own and not that of any Commonwealth member government or organization.
The group also met with the head of Nigeria's electoral body, the Independent National Electoral Commission.
Nigeria is a very important country. Its future impacts on itself, but it impacts on the continent as a whole. We come very hopeful and very confident that we will have successful elections, peaceful elections, inclusive elections, and at the end, hopefully, there should be no complaint.
The International Republican Institute is a civil rights group collaborating with the National Democratic Institute to monitor the presidential election. The group has announced the deployment of a 40-member joint international election observation mission in Nigeria. According to INEC, an estimated 93.4 million voters have registered to cast their ballots for the presidential, National Assembly and governorship elections in over 176,000 polling units across Nigeria.